we're going to review Werewolf by Night. Kind of a movie, kind of a TV movie on Disney Plus from the Marvel folks. Pretty underrated. Kind of wondering why they didn't just do a full-on movie. We'll get into that. Also review Nope. Yep, I'm reviewing Nope. And no, it's not about my daughter's refusal to do anything that I ask of her. Shockingly, it's not about that. It's from writer, director, savant, genius, playboy philanthropist Jordan Peele. His latest after Us and Get Out is Nope. Have what it's got to be in that same stratosphere as those other two gems. Because I did like Us. I liked Get Out, but I also liked Us. And I know there are some people who are like, but I dig it. Keke Palmer, Daniel Kaluuya, another emerging star, up-and-comer, and that dude from That Thing. And the cinematographer. We got to talk about that dude because he was freaking awesome. And we might dibble-dabble in some Halloween-type BS. Halloween-type BS. TV-type BS. A lot of BS on this freaking show. So with that, let's get it freaking started. I watched a couple of decent Halloweenish, horror-ish movies on Friday night. I got to watch Werewolf by Night. This is, I guess, technically a TV movie. It's only like 52 minutes long. Has a rating of TV 14. I wonder if they ever thought about doing a TV MA version and then like putting it, because it's on Disney Plus. So like, let's have a TV MA version for the adults, and like you gotta enter a PIN code or like, I don't know, pass a test. And then let's have the TV 14 for all the rapscallions, you know, because this movie was in black and white, and I was like, you know my thoughts on black and white movies. I'm not a huge fan, okay? And some would say I'm a detractor. I'm a hater. I'm a critique of black and white movies. Like the Lighthouse. When that friggin' movie came on and was 4:3 aspect ratio in black and white, I was like, you are testing my limits, bro. Luckily, it was such a good movie that it's like, all right, I'll look past it. Like Justice League being in black and white for it's like, why would you do this to us? Why? So most times I'd be like, this is a personal affront, and I'm personally offended. This time it was like, oh, I get it. They kind of had to, given it's a TV movie, they're trying to go for a broader audience. You know, it's kind of like in Kill Bill, was it 1 or 2, where they go into that dojo and Uma Thurman has to fight like that whole gang, and it's like it goes to black and white, and you're like, oh snap, dude, it's about to get crazy grotesque in here. We're talking graphic. And so I got that same vibe from this. I'm like, all right, I accept. I approve this message. Neal Lynch for counsel. So what is Werewolf by Night? It's on Disney Plus. We know that. I think it released maybe in mid-October. It's been out for a couple weeks now, but it follows a lycanthrope superhero who fights evil using the abilities given to him by a curse brought on by his bloodline. Lycanthrope, I mean, I guess that's already a spoiler, but I mean, five minutes into it, you're like, okay, I get it. Like the title of the TV movie is Werewolf by Night. Okay. Yeah. But they do lead you in the beginning segments to be like, so there's this monster, y'all gonna hunt it, and you can get this here bloodstone, which is all powerful, but you're gonna hunt this monster, wink. And we're not saying it's a werewolf, wink. Here's the official synopsis. It's the description from Disney. On a dark and somber night, a secret cabal. By the way, cabal, dude. What a freaking great word. A secret cabal of monster hunters emerge from the shadows and gather at the foreboding Bloodstone Temple, following the death of their leader, whose last name is Bloodstone. In a strange and macabre is also a great word, memorial to the leader's life. The attendees are thrust into a mysterious and deadly competition for a powerful relic, a hunt that will ultimately bring them face to face with a dangerous monster. It's directed by Michael. I'm going to butcher this. I'm Italian, so I should know. Giacchino. I mean, he's only directed 3 things. 2 of them were shorts before this, so this is his first kind of longer form type production that he's directed. But you probably know him as a composer. I mean, name a movie or a TV show, and he's an award-winning composer. So that's probably how you know him. And I gotta say, after watching this, dude's got a future in directing. I expect him to have a lot more projects fall in his lap after this, because I thought he did a phenomenal job. It's written by Heather Quinn, who also wrote Hawkeye, and Peter Cameron, who had writing credits on Moon Knight and WandaVision, and also written by Jerry Conway, who does a lot of comic book stuff. He's written episodes of Harley Quinn and also The Punisher, which I guess I should check those out, huh? It's about time, Neal. It's about time. Stars Gail Garcia Bernal as Jack Russell. What a freaking name, dude. Jack Russell. Jack Russell Terrier. Huh? Like the dog. Huh? I think you understand what's happening here. Laura Donnelly as Elsa Bloodstone. She's the daughter of the deceased Ulysses Bloodstone, who is the leader of the pack there. Laura Donnelly gives me those the vibes of the woman who is one of the leads in The Bee in Apartment 23, that show, but also Jessica Jones, that superhero show. She was the lead in that. I think she was also in Out of My League, possibly. And she does things to my brain, to my body. She does things. She doesn't know it, but she does. Anyway, this Laura Donnelly gives me those vibes. And Harriet Sansom Harris as Verussa, the stepmother. What a job by this lady. Reminds me a little bit of Oscar winner Olivia Colman. No. Gives me the same vibes as the woman from Handmaid's Tale. She was also in The Leftovers. What is her name? Thank you, Hulu. She said that in an award speech. Hulu. Got a kick out of that. This actress, Harriet Sansom Harris, very similar vibes. So I thought the casting was great in this. Kirk R. Thatcher's Jovan. I think that was the kind of Viking type, Nordic warrior type dude. Had axes and stuff. He was pretty baller. Eugenie Bondurant as Azrael. I gotta look this one up. I don't even remember this dude, man. Werewolf by Night. Azrael. Okay, looking. Okay, so this is, all right, nice. Is that the one? Yeah, I guess that is. Huh. So Azrael kind of looks like David Bowie. Like David Bowie in that famous, is it the album where he has this is ground control to Major Tom. David Bowie lightning bolt. They made a lightning bolt makeup. Rocked out David Bowie's lightning bolt. Yeah. David Bowie's iconic 1973 Aladdin Sane lightning bolt look. That look, do you know what I'm talking about? That's what Azrael reminded me of. I'd like to see more of him, her, they, them, Z, Zaddy, whatever it is. That character was cool. Wanted more out of that character for sure. Leonardo Nam as Leorn. I mean, they don't really say their names a lot in the movie as far as I could tell, so that was kind of hard. But I believe Leorn was the like samurai type dude who he had some cool like face makeup and stuff. Daniel J. Watts as Barrasso. He seems like Wesley Snipes' Blade. I mean, like every person you look at them and you automatically, they're like, that person looks sort of familiar. And I think that's what makes it work, is because you see the character and you're like, you already have a pretty good guess or idea of like who they are and like what they've done and all that crap. So Brasso is like the Wesley Snipes Blade character. Yeah. I like what they did with Ulysses Bloodstone. It was kind of very gave me Big vibes. You're in the movie Big, where it's like they go to the boardwalk and the genie that's in the arcade game type thing is like enter the coin, and it's like it was kind of freaky and I dug it. So yeah, all these hunters, these monster hunters who have like these dozens and dozens of monster kills, they come together, and that part was interesting. An interesting little twist where it's like, hey, so the goal is to kill this monster to get the bloodstone. But everyone's fair game, meaning like you can just kill whoever you want on the way to killing that monster, which I thought was like, whoa, this is a little hardcore, dude, from Marvel. Never seen that kind of stuff. And that's why it was in black and white, because there was a lot of gruesome attacks and violence. I dug the aesthetic that they used. It was kind of very old school 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, maybe even black and white, or that kind of analog film feel to it, even though it was shot in digital. They would do little things to get you in that mindset of like that old school horror. So they would have like the cigarette burn in the top right corner, which is what they used to use to indicate a change between reels on the film projectors, because the film projector would only have so much movie, dude, and so much film. And you gotta switch it so his little cigarette burn to let you know. You gotta change it, dude. Change it up. So I appreciate that. I like that a lot. So Giacchino, I said he had a lot of credits. He wrote the scores for Doctor Strange and for the Spider-Man trilogy with the MCU and was co-composer on Thor: Love and Thunder. This is Marvel Studios' first Halloween special. And I think a lot of people would agree that a lot of these specials ain't so special, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Most Christmas specials that kind of suck. And like, I guess the Bill Murray Christmas special wasn't too bad. And what was the one with the singer, Casey Musgraves? That wasn't too bad. But most of the specials, it's like, oh, the David S. Pumpkins Halloween special, dude. How many people wanted that to be so good? And it was just like, okay. All right. So this is Marvel's first Halloween special. And judging based on this, would love to have it every year, dude. Would love it. And of course, I just saw that Guardians of the Galaxy is going to have a Christmas special, which I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, oddly, I'm into this. This doesn't feel like it's going to be a complete nightmare. So these are based on the comic books, which I didn't know about. Did not know going into that. But in the comic books, Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing were members of the original Legion of Monsters along with Morbius and Ghost Rider, dude. Whoa. So are we building to a Legion of Monsters movie, which Morbius getting work all over the place? Got a Sinister Six franchise lined up, maybe. And then a Legion of Monsters release. Maybe Nick Cage comes back with Ghost Rider. What? Dude, what? Yeah, so the monster, I guess if you haven't seen it yet, the spoiler alert, the monster is not a werewolf, although it is kind of eventually a werewolf. But the original monster that everyone's hunting is called Man-Thing, and his name is Ted. So Ted the Man-Thing kind of looks like Swamp Thing meets Chulutu. What's that big monster? Spaghetti monster. What was it called? Chutulu? Chutululu. I've never actually had to pronounce that name. Chutulu. Kind of looks like a combination of that and Swamp Thing. Let's see if I can get a little freaking. All right, here we go. Cthulhu. Never would have guessed that, dude. Never would have guessed that. Cthulhu. All right. Cthulhu. Never would have guessed that. So kind of like Cthulhu meets Swamp Thing, and very cool. I dug that character a lot, Ted the Man-Thing. Gael Garcia Bernal, what a job by this dude. I freaking love this guy. I can't remember a movie where I was like, I don't like what that guy's doing. I always like what that guy's doing. He's never disappointed me. He's never failed me. Then there've been a lot of movies where it's like I feel like I would have tuned out if it weren't for his performance. So another great performance from him. He is, in fact, the werewolf in question. So he's there to save Man-Thing because I believe their family, possibly, maybe it's like Vin Diesel's like a concept of family. Like it's a really strong group of friends. But yeah, that's why Jack Russell, wink, 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 is in there to save Ted the Man-Thing. He buddies and partners up with Elsa, the daughter, a strange daughter, to get her done. There's a scene with a flaming tuba. I mean, that is all you need to know. Little things like that can go a long way, folks, when you're coming up with a horror production, if you will. Like just throw a flaming fucking tuba in there, dude. Yes. I do love the pageantry and the ritual, and it just feels so cool. It's a wonder. I don't know, that kind of gotten away from that, haven't we, folks? Like, what are we getting back to? These really cool rituals and traditions and stuff like that. Like the ceremony. There's so much ceremony that went into that one scene where it's like all the meter, like the picture, that scene could be done so much more vanilla and blah, and they didn't. And I'm so grateful they didn't. And I feel like more writers, directors, producers, like just people in general in that biz can look and watch it, something like that. It was almost Tarantino-esque. Like, here's a very simple thing. We're just going to tell you what this is. It's just a reveal of like, hey, this is what you're going to do, which could be done in such a like ho-hum, straightforward, mundane manner. But Tarantino always cranks it up to 11. And I feel like this did it in similar fashion, where it's like, this has got to be memorable. So I do hope this is kind of like a jumping off point. But at the same time, it's like, I'm starting to lose track of all these characters in the MCU, dude. But would be pretty sweet if they don't let this just be a one and done, you know. So this hall that they go into, this room where they're gonna have Ulysses kind of do his little, I guess you would say it's like a last will and testament, like he recorded it before he passed, and then he's doing. either this animatronic version of him is like giving the instructions and directions, which I thought was so cool. And you even see like the people that they get even better is that this weird thing happens, and then they cut to someone that has a reaction of like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, you know, even though we're in this universe where like monsters are real and you're a monster hunter, and like Azrael is over there looking all David Bowie, and you know Basaro is looking like Blade, and you know, like even though all this is going down, like, is that a freaking animatronic? What? I love that. But so there's this hallway where all the monsters are depicted in murals, or they're hanging on the walls after the kill. And one of them was Gore the God Butcher was in the mix there. When they were going through the pages of what the bloodstone is and what creatures are affected, the first creature is a Wendigo. The Wendigo first appeared in Marvel's The Incredible Hulk April 1973 issue. And if you're not familiar with what a Wendigo is, I'm guessing you never saw the movie Antlers. And I recommend watching the movie Antlers, because that, spoiler, is the main antagonist villain in Antlers. And the Wendigo is no joke, dude. I wouldn't want to fuck with the Wendigo. No thanks. While this is the first on-screen appearance of Ted the Man-Thing in the MCU. He was mentioned in by Maria Hall in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 2014, and then there was a sculpture of his face carved into Grandmaster's palace as in Thor Ragnarok. Completely missed that. But that's just the level of freaking detail. I mean, like, that's what I love most about this MCU. And it's surprising that more people didn't try and do it before the MCU. And now everyone's trying to do it, where it's like you're trying to connect everything, which I dig. I appreciate that. I actually did a video for Up Rocks about all the connections in the Tarantino verse. Probably just is not live or exist online anymore because of whatever reason. But man, that was a cool video to work on. This film, particularly this TV movie, has been in development since 2001. That is bananar, dude. 2001, 20 freaking years. In year 15, or in year 10, I'd be like, we're still talking about this? Yeah, we're still talking about it? Cool. Yeah. You're shitting me, right? You're joking with me? You're pulling my chain, my leg. Wow. Where will Bennett? And then year 15, it's going to be like, yeah. No. Yeah, we're going to do it. Dude, we're going to do it. Yeah, of course we are. So to have it finally done after 20 years, what a relief that is. Because like, I'm not even close to finishing my script. I've been working on it for 6 years. Like, I'd love to just finish it before the end of the year and just get it out to someone. But that's just step one. Then it's going to get kicked around everywhere. If it's even good enough for everyone to consider. Kicked around for like probably 2 years. Then they'll have like 3 different leads attached to it that they'll just cycle through them because their schedules, quote unquote. That's another like 2-3 years. I can imagine 20 years from now, it's the year 2044. and And Bachelor Monsters finally hit the big screen, which won't even exist in 2044. It's like everyone will have their own virtual headset. It was Kevin Feige's decision to include Man-Thing, which, I mean, perfect, dude. You nailed it. Like, what other monster were they going to have? Wendigo would be pretty cool, but Man-Thing was, it's like Man-Thing was kind of scary, but also kind of cuddly and cute, dude. So I can see why Man-Thing makes the most sense. But the interaction between Jack Russell, Gael Garcia Bernal's character, who is the werewolf, we missed that, and Man-Thing, like that's a cool little buddy. Feels like that could be a road trip. That could be they become cops, something like that. Like that's a good duo. And then eventually, Over the Rainbow by Judy Garland plays as the movie turns from black and white to color, which happens in The Wizard of Oz. Thought that was a nice little touch as well. Very rich story. Kind of crazy they just didn't go all out with a feature-length movie, but if you can do it in 55, 52, why not? It does feel like there's more promise here and potential than there is with She-Hulk. Oh, I said it. I'm just curious about how so if like She-Hulk's going to be in future movies, does she do the break the fourth wall thing there too? Yeah, I guess she would. Because like if Deadpool did it. Yeah. So I don't know. I have weird blockades up in this old bean, you know? There are things that's like that could never work. And then it's like, well, it has worked, and it's to the tune of $1 billion. Global box office, you freaking douche. For some reason I feel like there's more fertile ground with this than there is with She-Hulk. But I don't want to be that guy, you know? I didn't hate it. So what do the critics have to say about this fantastic piece of art? 91% of critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a favorable review. out of 98 reviews and a 7.6 out of 10 average rating. The consensus was a spooky yarn told with taut economy. Oh, I love that. Taut economy. That gets me all kinds of riled up. Werewolf by Night is a standout Marvel entry that proves Michael Giacchino as atmospheric and skilled a director as he is composer, and I agree with all that. Taut economy as well. What did the audience have to say? Great question. 90% of the audience gave it a favorable review out of more than 2,500 ratings with a 4.4 out of 5 average rating. I would say, I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10. So we're right in that same ballpark. What did the audience say? The audience said Werewolf by Night brings a fresh look and feel to the MCU. And just as importantly, it's also a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think that's what makes movies like this so good. The ability to infuse humor. It doesn't have to be like crazy humor, just like little stuff that's funny that, is peculiar, sticks out, like the animatronic thing, that's a great humorous moment. The first interaction between Jack Russell and Man-Thing, little stuff like that. So I dug it. There were 42,000 IMDb users that rated this flick, and they gave it a 7.3 out of 10, which I think is a little low, to be honest. I think 7.3, 7.6 out of 10 feels a little low. It's closer to an 8. That's Werewolf by Night by Calvin Klein. I really do hope they do that. That's like a every Halloween thing. They just do another Halloween special similar to this, like another installment in the anthology of this little mini universe, this little world of monsters, the Legion of Monsters, dude. I mean, how do you not get jacked about hearing that? Legion of Monsters? Come on. So yeah, really hope they do more with that. So let's talk about Nope. This is the log line. The residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery. After random objects falling from the sky result in the death of their father, ranch-owning siblings OJ and Emerald Haywood attempt to capture video evidence of an unidentified flying object with the help of tech salesman Angel Torres and documentarian Antlers Hoist. It's released July 22nd in theaters, and I really wanted to see this in theaters, and I'm bummed that I didn't go when I had the chance. I had the chance numerous times to go, and I just fucking couldn't pull the trigger. Kind of missed my shot there, but it released on streaming, or will release on streaming November 18th. My guess is that's like for free. It'll hit some streaming service for free, but I could not wait. Couldn't wait those 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I couldn't do it. And so I rented it. This is written and directed by Jordan Peele, y'all. The man, the myth, the legend. A person that I would love to follow in his footsteps. To have that kind of career where it's like hit sketch comedy show and then just blockbuster movies that no one saw coming based on your sketch comedy. Although I kind of did. If you watch Key and Peele, they have a really good sense of cranking up the drama and the tension and the conflict in a humorous way. And I think that's what makes Jordan Peele's movies so great, is that he doesn't lose sight of the humor. Like the first reaction that they're going for in Key and Peele is like humor, laugh comedy. But they have a great sense of like what also, makes a scene fraught with tension. And so I think it's like almost the reverse of that with his movies. He like goes for the tension first, but is like, he doesn't forget about his comedy chops, his background. This old flick stars Daniel Kaluuya as OJ Haywood, Keke Palmer, who, I mean, how many awards is this chick gonna win, dude? So freaking good. As Emerald Haywood, Brandon Perea as Angel Torres, the like basically Geek Squad guy. That's essentially how I'd put it. Michael Wincott as Antlers Holst. I mean, you want to talk about a freaking perf, dude. We'll get into like his comp later because he's got a player comp, just like we had a bunch of player comps with Werewolf by Night. He's got a player comp, and it's a good one, so I don't want to spoil it. Stephen Yeun, again, I'm white, sorry. Stephen Yeun as Ricky Jupe Park. Jupe is short for Jupiter. Ren Schmidt as Amber Park, his wife. And then Keith David as Otis Haywood Sr. You might remember Keith David from They Live with Rowdy Piper in the longest fight scene known to man. I think it was like clocked in at 13 minutes. Such a great fight scene. I mean, you want to get nice and toasted. You got to play that drinking game, dude. They Live drinking game. That fight scene especially. Every punch thrown, take a shot. Dare you. Don't do that. I think he was also the movie Men at Work. Never Touch Another Man's Fries. I mean, those two movies are seminal for people of a certain age, that age being my age. So if you are along my age, Men at Work was like on loop as a kid. Never Touch Another Man's Fries. And then They Live, dude. They Live. I mean, we pre-gamed to that nonstop. I mean, it was oddly enough, it was after I graduated college, we were pre-gaming to it. It was just like our go-to jam. I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I am all out of bubblegum. I mean, what a stupid line, but what a great line, dude. All right, so I think once the first trailer hit the airwaves there, hit the boob tube and the internets and whatnot, a lot of people, myself included, thought, okay, this is an alien invasion movie. And NOPE is an acronym that stands for Not of Planet Earth. Whoa. I actually never thought that. I just figured that's such a great title, dude, because that is like definitely the first response people would have if they had a UFO that up close and personal. It was like, nope, no thank you. Throw it in reverse. Mr. Jordan Peele, he cited King Kong, Jurassic Park, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Signs, and The Wizard of Oz as influences on the film. And he considers those films as examples of our addiction to spectacle, which is a major theme of the film, and which I would love to like get some clarity on, because if it's because he says he wrote the movie as a response to like, oh, the death of cinema, because of the pandemic, because of everyone retreating into their homes and turning to streaming services and not being willing to go to the theater anymore, and in order for a movie to get released in the theater, it has to be a spectacle. And so that's partially why he wrote it, was like, I wanted it to be a spectacle to kind of influence or motivate people to get back into the theater, which goddamn JP, it almost worked on me. Like I kept saying, I'm going to go. This is the weekend I'm going to go. I'm going to go this weekend. I'm going to go this day. That's going to happen. I'm going to do it. And then it just never happened. So I apologize. Is it too late to apologize? There's going to be some spoilers here. I guess I'll give the non-spoilery. No, dude, this is a reaction. To Nope, okay? This is a review, a recap, and a reaction. All right. A lot of the put downs, criticisms of this movie was that it felt scattered and that people couldn't follow the plot. The storylines felt all over the place. And so they lost interest because they couldn't keep up. And it was like, God damn, man. Like I feel like I had those questions, but everything is connected. It makes sense in the current version. Now maybe there's a director's cut, which is weird because I don't think anyone would do that to Jordan, but I'd be curious to know if he in retrospect was like, and he'll probably say no, are there any scenes you wish you included that maybe like made it a little bit clearer to people? But he'd be like, no, that's not the point. The point is to get the people to think. That's what he wants. He wants the thinker, not the stinker. But we were talking about connectivity before with Marvel Cinematic Universe and how I dig it, and Tarantino has kind of done it. I guess Tarantino was the universe guy before MCU. I'm going to put that out there. I think he is the first verse on this album. I love this little touch. I didn't remember seeing this in the movie, but I love this. Stephen Young's character Jupe has a large pair of metal scissors on his desk, which are the same scissors prominently featured in Jordan Peele's previous film, Us, which was... gives me chills. So O.J. Haywood and Emerald Haywood are the two siblings, brother and sister. OJ watches his father die after random objects are falling from the sky, and apparently like a coin, a freaking quarter, goes through his eye and into his brain and kills him. My favorite. So there is some IMDb trivia that says like, well, that's great and all, but that could never happen. Like a quarter could never fall at the type of velocity that would allow it to pierce someone's through the. It's like, I guess it's urban legend. Doesn't it? Not a thing. But I mean, it's like in that moment, unless you are like Freddy Physics over there with their friggin' PhD, I think most people would be like, yeah, it seems reasonable. It drops from high enough. Yeah, I can see it. So yeah, the father dies via random quarter attack from the heavens. So they inherit the ranch, the horse ranch, and they're in the game of renting out these horses for shoots, like commercial shoots, movie shoots, TV shoots, because they're around the Hollywood area. But also they've sold a bunch to this guy played by Stephen Young, Ricky Jupe Park. He owns this like just a little amusement park-ish type thing. It's not anything like big time, like Six Flags or anything like that. It's very small, but like family friendly and all that good stuff. So his backstory is that he was a former child actor on a show in the 90s, sitcom in the 90s, which featured a chimpanzee that was like adopted by a family, I guess, called Gordy's house or something like that. And he was probably like, I don't know, 6'8", maybe 6 or 8 years old when this was filming. And the movie opens with this chimpanzee with like what looks like a dead body on the floor and an empty studio audience, like an empty studio. There's no audience, and there's just crap everywhere, blood everywhere, and this chimpanzee walks out and like kind of like bats the dead body's foot, sits down, takes off the party hat, and it's just like, what? And then it looks over at the camera, because we're seeing all of this from underneath. Do you know it's under the table at that point? I don't think so. But from this vantage point, you're looking out towards the audience, and you can see this chimpanzee just sit down, take off his birthday hat, and then like lock eyes with the camera. So it's like, okay, what movie is this? Did I rent the right one? Like, is this what was that movie with Joey from Friends? Like, where the monkey is a baseball player? Really creepy start to the movie. Turns out, I mean, this is a pretty good reveal, and people are like, they're not understanding the connection between that subplot and the main plot, but it's like, it's pretty, I mean, it kind of shows and tells you what's what. I guess you could not have included a lot of that backstory, but then maybe people would have had questions about his motivations. And even I, after watching it, I'm like, this is a little hard to believe. So he's a child actor. He was a child actor on the show in which and he tells the story, but he tells it in a way that's like, oh, SNL did a parody of it, a skit parodying the tragic events. And so he decides to kind of tell that story of like, oh, Chris Kattan played the chimpanzee and Anna Gasteyer was da-da-da-da and Daryl Hammond was blah, blah, blah. And he decides to tell it like that way. And you're like, this guy seems like he wasn't too beat up about it. He wasn't like deeply impacted. He wasn't affected. That's interesting. Like, if SNL did a parody of it, I guess can't be that bad, the event that happened. And I'm sure a psychologist watched that and was like, oh yeah, well, he talks about how, he kind of ends the story with like, oh yeah, and he gave me a fist bump. And we did the first fist bump ever. We created the fist bump, me and Gordy the chimp that went wild on set. Oh my God. So he's this Jupe character, has his own park, last name's Park. Interesting. Called Jupiter's Claim or something like that. Very interesting name. And I haven't even looked at the significance or the meaning behind him being named Jupe or Jupiter, or his nickname. And what does Jupiter's Claim mean? I mean, there's so much to unpack here, so much to peel back. So yeah, he basically is telling the Haywoods, because the Haywoods are trying to sell another horse to him. They've already sold 11. And he's like, OJ asked him like, would it be possible if could we ever like buy those horses back from you? And he's like, oh yeah, we can talk about that. Let's set up some time to talk about that. And it's like, yeah, that's such a simple little thing that probably goes unnoticed by a lot of people, but it comes back and you understand why towards the end. But the whole revelation of like Ricky Jupe's backstory, after you see that, you're like, whoa, dude. Like, psychologically, I feel like if I was put in that position, if I'm a child actor, if I just witnessed the horror of a chimpanzee just friggin' tearing people's faces off, and I'm hiding under the table, and I see that thing look at me, I'm shitting my pants. I think I just did now, and I'm not even in that real life situation. But then, so the chimp, it's revealed the chimp comes up after just demolishing everyone, which is triggered by balloons popping. That was another question that I had, is like, why did the balloons popping trigger him into going gonzo style? And what are these sudden noises have to do with other animals like flipping the switch? That wasn't really explained. But as far as Jupe's storyline goes, if I'm a child actor, I see all that shit, I don't know that I ever want to remember it per se. And I'm going to bury that deep down. Like, I'm not going to try and monetize that trauma like he did. Like, he had a secret little room that is almost like a shrine or a museum to this insane moment in TV history that he was part of. And yet he charges people like obnoxious amount of money to come and like look at it and stay in it and sleep in it. And it's just like, so he's making money that way. And he seems like such an upbeat, happy character, but you I think after watching that freaking scene with the chimp going nuts and him under the table, it's like, oh, you've kind of, your mind is trying to protect you. Like that was the whole point of Mr. Robot, was like, it was just basically his brain playing tricks on him to protect him from the harsh reality of like everything that's going on. Got it. And so that's how traumatic this event was the guy thinks after the chimp literally has destroyed everyone and comes over, and the kid thinks is probably going to eat him, the chimp like reaches out for a fist bump. His bloody, I mean, that was such a freaking scene, dude. Reminiscent of E.T. in a little way. I mean, E.T. wasn't covered in blood, I don't think. But that whole moment, the fingers like touching, we got that with the chimp and little mini Jupe. The first fist bump, that was that right there, shot of the year has to be. And he's so young and so impressionable that, it's like, and memories are such a finicky thing that he has taken this very traumatic event that would most likely like cripple a lot of people mentally and socially and whatever, psychologically, and he's somehow twisted it into like, yeah, we created the first fist bump. Like he's just stuck in this world, this delusional world stage, if you will, that like it doesn't feel like he's fully processed everything. It's like, dude, what is happening? Like, are you okay? Like you're way too chipper and happy and proud. And but so they tell that story so that when you get to the point where you figure out XYZ, it's like, well, this is how this was allowed to happen and go on. It's because he had this like crazy freaking incident when he was a kid. And it's like, what type of incident would what would put you in that kind of mindset to think that you can do this show that you put on at the Star Lasso Experience or whatever it is? Like what, like I feel like you needed that, all the backstory to get to this point to let you, because otherwise you'd have been like, why, dude? I don't know. I guess you could have done without it. I guess you could, but it's such a freaking cool backstory. I mean, tragic, but it's not real. But yeah, the idea of spectacle really was interesting. It's like, because addiction sounds like it has a negative connotation, right? So you're thinking, oh, our addiction to spectacle. So I'm going to make a spectacle to make fun of or to chastise our addiction to spectacle. Are you just contributing to the problem, bro? So that's where I got a little pretzeled on that one. I was like, but you're saying that we're addicted to spectacle and that's a bad thing, but then you made a spectacle, and you want people to go see your spectacle, even though you're criticizing how we are addicted to the spectacle. Jordan Peele, you son of a gun, dude. Getting my brain all kinds of like firing off here, but also very confused. So yeah, there was a lot of themes to this, right? It was like, first and foremost, animal abuse, I guess, right? The idea of you can't tame a predator, which I didn't think a chimpanzee was a predator, but goddamn, yeah, they can tear your face off. That's predator. Not too many rabbits pulling that off. You know, at one point, the cinematographer Antlers Holst. So through the course of the movie, they find out that this aerial phenomena, I'll call it. I'm not going to call it UFO. Or no, I'll call it UFO. It's fine. It's UFO. They need to get video evidence because they were like, all the evidence that is out there friggin' stinks. It's low res, it's, blurry, low quality shit. Like we need to get some high quality HD 4K up in this and get this on video and be like, this is it. But of course, it ain't that simple because this thing, the UFO, can basically knock the power out. So electricity goes down. So a lot of the cameras go down. Although this Geek Squad guy was like, no, this is the kind of camera that runs on blah, blah, blah. And so it won't go down, of course, sure enough. Like when the event is happening, one of the events is happening, there's like, I guess, quote unquote, attack, and it reveals itself. There's like a praying mantis on the lens. And then the other one goes out. So what they end up doing is because of, the electricity goes out a lot when this thing is around, they then hire this world-renowned cinematographer who's known for shooting on film. And so this guy, he accepts because Emerald, Kiki Palmer's character, is like, this shot is impossible and we want you to capture the impossible. So then he takes it because he doesn't want to get paid for it because that's like his major challenge or obstacle or whatever in the movie. But he also mentions, like, when OJ talks about taming a wild animal, this guy Antlers Holst, the cinematographer, he mumbles to ask Siegfried and Roy about that. And the story of Siegfried and Roy is pretty well known. Back in 2003, during a show, their white tiger named Manticore attacked Roy, severing his spine on his birthday, no less. Happy birthday to you. Oh, I got you a new spine. He did survive, so I can make that joke. He did survive, but it did leave him injured. And so that's one of the running themes is this theme of animal abuse that that man's dominion or domain over the animal world. Who are we, or kind of the pointing the finger at us, like, are we really that arrogant to think that we can control the entire animal kingdom? I think that's part of it, is like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be trying to like, and maybe it's a commentary on zoos in general, or like, amusement parks, SeaWorld, anything where there's like animals being used for entertainment. It's like, that's not their purpose, like to entertain. Like, we can entertain because we choose to go entertainment, although there's some child actors who might disagree with that. The child actor angle. Mankind will risk everything for spectacle, and you can't tame a predator. Those are basically the two themes there. The twist. Let's talk about it, because I think it is a twist, in my opinion. Every time we see the UFO, it looks like a cowboy hat, which I thought was an interesting touch. It was like, I could see how some people tuned out and were like, are you fucking kidding me? It's a cowboy hat. And then I was like, that's interesting. And what are they trying to say with, I was more of like, what are they trying to say? Because, if you had shown this to me and you're like, it's not from Jordan Peele, I would probably not have like looked at it with such a fine eye. But once I saw his name is attached to it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to analyze the fudge out of this. So while Jordan Peele didn't explain the significance of the deadly chimpanzee attack witnessed by Jupe as a kid, it is meant to show that you can't tame a predator and mankind will risk everything for spectacle. Jupe exploited the Gordy's home massacre for profit and similarly thought he could tame the UFO for a show business opportunity. And that's what you see towards the front half of the movie is OJ, trying to chase down a horse. He goes kind of the far end of the ranch and he sees and hears like this, like, kind of a show environment. There's a guy on a microphone making a lot of announcements and there's some music and clapping. So he knows that there's some kind of spectacle or show going on over at the park. Jupe's survival of the chimpanzee attack gave him the mistaken impression he could tame an alpha predator who are often unpredictable. So that would explain why he's been doing this like insane show with this UFO. So the big twist, the UFO is not a spaceship or a flying saucer. It is an actual creature. What a move. What a freaking move, dude. I don't know that that's ever been really done in the whole UFO game and the UFO, entertainment space, but UFO is not a ship. It's an actual living organism. And so that's why when it sucks up, it's been mostly eating horses, and that's because Jupe has been feeding it horses over at the park. That's like part of the show, is like, hey, check out this, watch this. And then the UFO quote unquote creature appears, sucks up a horse, and everyone's like, yeah. But the alien animal form, the UFO animal, is inspired by sea creatures: jellyfish, octopus, squid, electric eels, and knife ghostfish, which moves without fins. That's baller, dude. That is baller. There's a quote at the beginning of the film. It's from the book of Nahum, the Bible's Old Testament. In it, the prophet Nahum tells the story of the city of Nineveh. How it was marked for destruction by God in 40 days because of the wickedness of its people. God promises to make spectacles of them, just as they made spectacles of their own sin, until Jonah convinces them to repent. So this movie draws many parallels from that story and the lengths people will go to hoping to take advantage of spectacle and the consequences thereof. The treatment of Gordy and his eventual rampage, Ricky's attempt to create a bond with the alien with no regard to its malevolent nature, the deaths of the TMZ cameraman and Antlers Hole, Steven. Yeah, Antlers Hole, his death. So the similarities to Jaws are numerous. I thought this was a great point that I found on IMDb. The flag stuck in jean, so they for whatever reason, because it doesn't look like that, but they call the UFO jean jacket, which I thought was cool. The flags stuck in Jean Jacket's mouth are similar to the barrels stuck in Jaws' mouth. Antlers is clearly a Quint character, which Quint is this kind of grizzled older guy who's seen it all and has been, basically deeply affected by this friggin' shark. Antlers' flying purple people eater speech reflects Quint's USS Indianapolis monologue. When Antlers is manually rolling his camera, it's the same as Quint reeling his fishing pole while he's fishing for Jaws. So Antlers, to me, was the coolest dude in this movie. And I guess that's, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just thought he was like, every time he's on screen, every scene he's in, steals the show, dude. So yeah, it's funny that when Jupe tells the story about, the SNL mocking Gordy's rampage, Chris Kattan playing the chimp. Apparently, there was an early 80s SNL recurring bit called I Married a Monkey, where Tim Kazurinsky acted alongside a chimpanzee. And in the book Live from New York, An Uncensored History of Saturday Night Live, which I have never read, way to go, Neal. The sketch finally ended on season 9, episode 11. He joked that the chimp had tried to kill him before, but in the dress rehearsal for the episode, the chimp flew into a rage and really tried to inflict harm. According to Kazurinsky, the chimp's teeth were removed as a result. Ay, dude. But it's funny that they decided that Chris Kattan would be playing the chimp, because Chris Kattan did play a monkey-like type character called Mr. Peepers, if you remember, from SNL in the 90s, where he basically would just jump around, make weird noises, and then he would hump people and lick them and chew on them and do all the things that like a monkey might do. And to calm him down, they would give him like an apple, and he would just go to town on the apple, just like eat it in like 2 seconds and throw it away. So that interesting that they made that kind of connection. The whole don't look in the eye thing, that was like a major theme. That's basically what the characters determined, with the UFO. They're like, hey, just don't look it in the eye and then it won't attack you. And there's a lot of foreshadowing in this movie, which I dig it. I love foreshadowing. In the moment, you're like, this seems like so non-important. It just seems like such a throwaway thing. And then it's like, of course, the payoff makes it that much sweeter. They did some pretty decent foreshadowing with Antlers, where anytime we see him, he's watching film of animals eating each other, and there are some shots where he's looking directly into the predator's eyes. All right. Steven Yeun's cowboy hat that he wears looks a lot like the UFO creature jean jacket. The logo of Star Lasso Experience features 2 horses against a backdrop of yellow rays. While the rays look like a design choice, it is actually a tip off that the design show features horses being sucked up by a UFO. Yeah, so that's the only thing that I was trying to figure out, was the idea of like what triggered, like what it felt like they were trying to make a parallel between Gordy getting triggered and losing it, and when the balloon pops, he goes on his rampage. Like, what made the UFO go on the rampage? Was it a noise? Something to that effect? What was it? Now you go back to the beginning of the movie where like the father dies, and the coins are, because the coin rained down on him. And that's because this organism, what it sucks up, it can only digest, I guess, carbon-based life forms. Does that even make sense? Like humans, horses, animals, things like that. He can't consume and digest keys, coins, metal, plastic, rubber, all that stuff. The scene where they actually show the insides of the creature, like these people getting sucked into the, like, in between the grooves or whatever, the digestive tract. Ooh, that'll give you nightmares. It's like people are like, wow, what's going on? And then the woman looks up and it's just like a horse skeleton. It's like half digested, and then it's like, okay, now I can freak the fuck out. Like, now I'm gonna scream like I have never screamed before. I loved it. Steven Yeun based his performance of Ricky Park on Willy Wonka and Pastor Joel Osteen. Yeah, maybe Willy Wonka is interesting. I think I would like to see him go a little more on the Wonka side, if you know what I mean. Walk on the Wonka side. Joel Osteen, I did get a Joel Osteen vibe from him, so I think that's spot on. 82% of critics gave it a favorable review out of 428 reviews. It had a 7.4 out of 10 average rating. The critics' consensus was that admirable for its originality and ambition, even when its reach exceeds its grasp. Nope adds Spielbergian spectacle to Jordan Peele's growing arsenal. I would say that's pretty spot on. Reach exceeds its grasp. I don't know. Did it really? I don't think so. If it did, it was like by a smidge. Danny Lee of the Financial Times, who apparently is a top critic, said, flaws in all, the beauty of Nope is being 2 things at once: art and cheap thrills, popcorn and provocation, blockbuster and brain food. The old mixed up formula that is still cinema's secret weapon. And I agree on all fronts. How many movies do you watch, or horror, suspense, thriller, action movies do you see these days where it's like you're still asking questions, a lot of questions afterwards? Like, too many questions, and it kind of ruins the experience. But there's like a handful of questions where it's like, was it or did it? Just gets the old brain working, 69% of the audience gave it a favorable review out of 5,000 plus verified ratings, with an average of 3.7 out of 5 on the scale. The audience says it may not be the movie you think you're going to get, or even the one you want, But either way, Nope leaves a strong impression as a true Jordan Peele original. Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's got his signature hallmark themes, elements, all that stuff. It's definitely Jordan Peele through and through. Not the movie you think you're going to get, or even the one you want. I guess so, because once you see this, you're like, okay, all right, like how is this going to be a social criticism on a certain type of person? And we didn't necessarily get that. So there were still little things here and there where it's like, I see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I got you. So I personally loved it. I would say if I'm going to give it a review rating, I think I gave it a 7 or an 8, closer to an 8. Well worth your time. For show. Strictly for Antlers Holes, dude. What a performance. And Keke Palmer too. I mean, just like outstanding stuff from her, as always. I think this is the first time I've ever really watched anything that she's been in. I could be wrong about that. So yeah, it's Nope. As far as TV goes, I think I mentioned this. I finished up She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Thought the finale was interesting, right? It was going in a certain way, and I was like, okay, I don't think I necessarily hate this ending, but then her like putting a stop to it, breaking the fourth wall, and then like going into the writer's room and like questioning it. I can't tell if that's unique and original and creative, or if that's lazy or too meta. I think I'm leaning towards what most people think, which is like, wow, we haven't seen anything like this before from the Marvel universe, so it's great. And the fact that they're poking fun at themselves and the genre and its fan base, then that's cool. But it also felt like, well, we don't know how to end this, so we're just gonna go down this like really, we're just gonna own up to it. And be like, hand up, we don't know how to end this, so we're just going to end it in a weird way. Because if they had rolled with just what ended up being the actual ending without all the like sidetracking, I think a lot of people would have been disappointed. I don't know. Will there be a season 2? I'm not sure. Will there be a movie? Apparently not, according to the robot known as Kevin. Kevin, knowledge something, blah blah something. I also finished up Dark season 3. I binged that, and that's probably not good for my mental health, to be honest, to binge Dark. Do not advise. I think that took me down a very dark path where I was just like, whoa, am I my own father? Like, wait, what if Brielle is really my mom? Yeah, my daughter. What if she's my mom? Like, it is the knot must stay entwined, and like we must untie the knot. It's just like, this is maddening. But that's the whole point, I guess. I don't know if there is going to be a season 4. The way they ended it seemed like, all right, that's that. Job well done, everyone. We figured it out. But even I don't think I saw that ending coming. I don't think. And I mean, you want to talk about questions, so many questions. That's why I feel like it cannot be done. It's just because like this is like, anytime you have time travel, all the paradoxes that you encounter. Well, if you did that and then you went back, then that would never happen. Then you wouldn't be alive, and you wouldn't be able to go back, and then you wouldn't be able to. So you wouldn't be able to do that, right? If you were alive, the only reason you're alive is because this happened. But if that didn't happen, then you wouldn't be alive. So then how do you go back and not make it happen? And I've gone cross-eyed. So I still loved it, but I also hated it because it just made me, my brain hurt too much, I think. And then House of the Dragon, we had the finale 2 Sundays ago. Interesting finale, because I think a lot of people were like, oh, there's going to, you got to have the big battle, the big war at the end of the season, like the last episode, because the whole season has been leading up to that kind of bubbling over conflict that was kept at bay by King Viserys. And now that he's gone, let's get it on, gentlemen. Ding, ding, ding. Put your gloves up. And it didn't really happen because Rhaenyra was kind of following in her father's footsteps, ironically, even though she was like wanted to deviate from them so much. She ended up, basically acting as him or like him in that final episode until shit went sideways. I just don't understand, though. I guess the one thing is that I don't understand is like, why would you send your kid? He's like 11. I guess he's 14. They said he might be 14, but like, if you're saying, hey, when you go there, say I'm a messenger, not a warrior. Like, we're not looking for war with these people that we consider our allies, that we're just like double, triple confirming that they're still our allies as we mount our forces against the Green Council or Army, whatever they're calling themselves. Alicent and her troop. You're telling me you couldn't just send like a bodyguard or just someone, a knight, just to kind of see it through, just to make sure things don't go nutso, psycho mode? But yeah, no. Then she sent her boy off to deliver the message. And then, of course, Aemond is there. And Aemond, So funny. There was a meme of what's his name, Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback from the Jaguars who was on Clemson. He's got like the long hair and like he looks like a member of Hanson, like one of the Hanson brothers. So this Eamon guy looks like Trevor Lawrence with the eye patch. Although the eye patch, him revealing, like pulling off the eye patch and showing like the gem or whatever in his eye. That was, oh boy, that's badish. And then the sheer size of that friggin' dragon that Eamon has, Vagar or whatever. How far we've come, right? I don't even know when does this take place. I feel like this takes place in the past, right? Like Star Wars. It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but they had like lasers and stuff. So like, is this in the past? But like, I don't know how far we've come though. Like, I would never let my 4-year-old daughter on a dragon. Yeah, she allows him to go by himself on this like teeny tiny dragon to deliver this message. And of course, Eamon's there with this gigantic dragon that surprisingly doesn't want to listen to him. Who saw that coming? And that dragon fucked everything up, fucked everyone up. And once news got back of that, it was Rhaenyra gave that look to the camera in the final shot. And it was just like, it's on. And it's just like, oh, I can't wait until 2 years from now when we can see the next freaking season, dude. I said the same thing about Stranger Things, though, and that turned out all right. So I'm curious to know what happened to the other brother, though. I don't know that I feel like there's something also happened there that they're going to reveal in the next season, which will happen 2 whole years from now. Oh my God. Same as Stranger Things, 2024. 2024 is going to be lit. 2023, I don't know. What do you got for me, 2023? I'm kind of worried. What do you got for me? And I started watching The Peripheral on Prime Video. It's got Grace Chloe Moretz, that one. She was in that movie. The last movie I saw with her was like in the Cloud of Shadows or something like that. Shadow of the Cloud, which was Shadow in the Cloud. It actually came out 2 years ago. And I thought she gave a pretty good performance. It was an action horror film, but it was like the reveal combined with the ensuing scenes were a little too much for me to handle. I'll say that much. It was just like, I'm trying, but this is tough. But The Peripheral, basically, is set in the future, but also in the distant future. That's your first clue. So in the year 2032, 10 years from now, she has a brother who I guess was in the military and has these implants that the military gave him that allow him to link up with other members of his unit, which is pretty baller. But apparently he is experiencing a lot of pain. Her mom is blind and has cancer or a tumor or something like that. Inoperable, maybe. And so she's dying. There's like this local kingpin type character who basically like runs the show and is doing all kinds of illegal shit. The brother is super into playing these like virtual reality simulation games where you have the headset on. I mean, very reminiscent of Ready Player One, where Ready Player One, it's like he's in Ohio. There's like RV trailers, park mobile homes just stacked on top of each other, and everyone's on their virtual headset. That could be the scariest vision of the future. It's like, well, everyone's just on their fucking their virtual headset. No! The brother has that, and he normally plays video games on it, and then you find out that the sister, Chloe Grace Moretz or whatever, is like way better and is able to do things way better in this game. So then the brother gets like a new beta version of a headset where it's not your standard where it goes over their eyes and you're seeing things virtually. Like it actually is attaches to your head, and then you're kind of projected into this quote unquote sim. It's only 3 episodes in, but goddamn, it's got me. Got me right where my bone connects to my entertainment center. It's like it's got it. It's ringing true for me right now. I mean, you can see where this is going, right? I don't want to spoil anything, right? But I mean, so she thinks she's going into the sim where it's London in the year 2099, almost 2100, which I don't like to think about because I'll be gone, you know? It'd be so sweet if we could just figure out a way to communicate with the dead instead of Ouija, which is like takes forever and it's like open to interpretation. Let's just figure out a way. And they did it in Upload, which I dug on Prime Video, where it's like you pass on, but like your digital consciousness is saved, and then people can still like speak to you and be like, hey, what's going on? But like you're not physically alive. I'd be down for that, I think, just to see what's going on in the year 2099. Oh, damn. Or at least get like postcards from the cosmos, letters Just like an email or something that I can get from my daughter being like, hey, what is 2099 like that? You gots to tell me. In this London 2099, there's like hardly any people anywhere. It's like something happened to a lot of the population. So we'll probably figure that out or find that out in the course of the season. Spoiler, it's like not a sim. She's actually her consciousness, I guess, is being transported from 2032. They call it telepresence, which is this is the first I've heard of it. Telepresence, doing that action. All about that action, boss, where her mind or consciousness is being transported from 2032 into a robot AI, like I guess an avatar type situation in 2099. So she thinks she's playing a sim, comes to find out, actually, no, I'm doing honest to God real damage in this world. And now there are people who are trying to kill me. They're sending people back to 2032 to kill me. But then why did I get the headset in the first place? So there's a lot of questions right now. We're only 3 episodes in, but I'm into it big time just to see where the hell it goes, fill in all the gaps, you know? Like how this team of assassins or mercenaries get sent back when that technology doesn't exist yet, when it really only seems like you can transport your consciousness from the present to the future, not from the future to the back. So we're looking forward to it. I started watching Andor. I'm only 2 episodes in, and it seems pretty cool so far, I guess. It's kind of slow. I heard it picks up after episode 3, so you know, I try to give, like many people, I try to give as many shows that 3-episode leash as possible, you know? But I told my brother-in-law because it does have, the soundtrack has Chris Stapleton and Morgan Wallen. So I let him know and he was like, I'm in, 100%, I'm in. Like, all right. It's very rare that I get, you know, I give a recommendation. I get like a full go ahead for that. But all right. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos.